Welcome back to Close Up. If you're a parent, school safety is a paramount concern these days. While lawmakers debate the best approach to take on firearms, government officials are working within the current system to make sure schools are secure and as hardened as possible to potential threats. Joining us this morning to discuss that is newly minted Assistant Commissioner of Safety and current Commissioner of Homeland Security, or Homeland Security Director Perry Plummer. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
So the state spent about $30 million on improving school security. From a taxpayer perspective, what have we purchased there?
Yeah, so certainly let's back up just for a second. And that $30 million is to make sure that the schools have the safety environment that they need to protect their students from a hardening standpoint, from a system that they know who's coming in their schools, to keep the right people out of their schools, those types of things. So that $30 million was key. Now, 90% of our schools in the state, public schools K through 12, will receive some type of security upgrade this year. I don't know of any other state that's doing that. But most important, that made our schools as safe as possible, the quickest possible way. With that being said, that's just one piece of the puzzle. We really need to look at other things long-term to create an environment that is safe for our students and that culture of learning that we want.
From the infrastructure perspective, these are cameras, locks, I guess, what's gone into the schools?
Yeah, there's everything from cameras, there's locks, there's shooter detection systems, a lot of vestibules, so when someone buzzes in, there's a place to put somebody as you vet them and make sure that they can do their business without getting access to the students.
I noticed that at Nashua South recently. You get in to the normal vestibule, and then there's almost like a side corridor where they're going to take a look at you again before they let you into the school.
Yeah, I mean, we had schools where a parent or a person would come to a school and they had to walk through the cafeteria or something to get to the front office to do their business, and that's just not a safe environment.
Describe for us, there's been a lot of talk of disrupting the pathway to violence. Governor Sununu often talks about, let's identify that kid who is isolated before some of his problems become externalized and he harms someone. What is going on right now in terms of disrupting the pathway to violence?
That's an excellent question. And when we had our task force meetings and we had 150 people put 1,000 hours into that task force report, that was one of the aha moments is, okay, so the pathway to violence. It starts with a grievance, it works up through research, it works up through attack, and then that reunification piece. So we had to look at that pathway to violence and say, where can we disrupt that pathway to violence? Obviously, our biggest successes will be in school culture. That's where we need to be long-term. We need to be focusing on social emotional learning. How do we deal with each other? So there's never a grievance, so you never get to that next level. But if they do get to that next level and they're in crisis, the next level would be that research. How do we find those people that are in crisis and get them the help they need so there's never an attack, because that certainly will pay the most dividends. So we've done a lot of work in that area. And then as you progress up, you get to the attack situation, if they do try to breach the school. And that's where the hardening comes in. How do we keep the people out of the school long enough to intervene? And then there's the reunification. Parents need to know if their kids are safe and what's going on immediately. Reunification, then recovery. So what we're focusing on first here, we're doing all of them simultaneously because we need to disrupt that pathway of violence wherever we can. Again, our biggest success will be school culture. About half the schools have downloaded our social emotional learning program from Scarlett Lewis, the governor. Scarlett's been on Channel 9 talking about that. And so about half the schools, or more than half the schools, have downloaded that program to start changing that culture in the school. There's been the 10-year mental health plan is out now, and the governor's talked about that, is we're not waiting 10 years to implement that mental health plan. There's things going on right now. So if someone is in crisis, one, they're recognized, there's training going on. There's been 5,000 school personnel trained in mental health first aid. And that's tremendous, because if someone's in crisis, how do you recognize that? And then how do you get them the help that they need? And that's really important. So we never get to that point where these hardening measures make a difference. It was important that we put that money into the schools because that was the quickest way we could make our students safe. And that allowed us to focus on more of these long-term solutions.
Has the research identified yet what is effective in diverting, basically these are young men, diverting some of these young men from that pathway when they're advanced along that path?
Yeah, certainly trying to look at those trigger points. There is no true profile, but there are characteristics. You know, so in our report, we included suicide and suicide prevention, because a lot of these perpetrators have shown signs of suicide early on. And if we can recognize those signs and intervene, then we never have those attacks. And that's really where we want to be. But certainly, it really comes down to students. Students watching out for students because they know what's going on in their school before anybody else will. So we're instituting See Something, Say Something type campaigns. We're working right now for an anonymous tip line statewide. So if you're a student and you see someone in crisis, you have a concern, you can call an anonymous tip line and get that person help and reduce that stigma and make sure that that person gets that help, because that's really where we need to be. We really need to get these people help before they get to the point where we have to intervene with law enforcement or emergency services.
Does the state gather any information at this point on some of these troubled individuals before they interact with the juvenile justice system?
It's really an interesting question, because obviously personal rights are a big deal. So we want to get to them before they have to get into the system. You know, before the law enforcement has to get them into a criminal justice system, we want to intervene, recognize the signs early, and that's whether it be a teacher, a fellow student, the person serving them lunch, the janitor. We don't know who they're going to reach out to and who they're going to talk to. But the one thing that is true is that in almost all these active shooter cases, schools and non-schools, somebody knew something. So you need to recognize those signs and get them the help that they need.
You mentioned school culture and the social emotional learning. What is the top priority if a school comes forward and says, we need some help here? What's the number one thing they can do to improve a school culture?
So the first thing they could do is make sure that they have the task force report. There's 59 recommendations in the task force report. We have an action item working group that meets every month, and we're developing action items for all 59 recommendations to help schools implement what recommendations they feel are right for their school. So the first thing a school should do is make sure they have that report, review that report, and then try to work through those recommendations that work for them, both fiscally and operationally. So that's the first thing they can do. Social emotional learning is really the key, and parents can look at that too. So we have a one-stop shop school resource page right now that was just developed, and we have stuff on there for parents, for teachers, for superintendents, for law enforcement, for fire, for resources that they can implement in their school. And we're populating more and more resources all the time. So that one-stop shop was just developed. It came out of one of the recommendations for the task force, and that's really go there, look at the stuff that's there, download it, and let's start having conversations about how do we keep our students safe. It's not just about, obviously it is about preventing, an act of violence, but it's also about making our students feel safe. Studies have shown that students that feel safe do better in school. Their test scores go up. It makes sense. So if we never have to deal with an active shooter, obviously that's what we want. But we want our students to feel safe. I attended a youth summit just recently, and we got about 100 students together, and we were talking to them, and very few of them said they truly feel safe at their school. That's a problem. That's really a problem. They should be able to go in that school and know that they're safe. So we need to do everything possible to create that environment that's safe, that they can learn in and excel in.
Are you confident the state is doing everything it can to make sure that safety is at an acceptable level?
I'm confident that we're headed in the right direction. It's going to be a journey. It's not a destination. I'm confident that we're doing more than any other state when it comes to every aspect of school safety. That $30 million for 500 schools, 90% of our schools are going to get that security upgrade. There is no other state doing that. I talked to all my counterparts across the country. There isn't another state doing that. The social emotional learning. New Hampshire was the first state in the nation to adopt it statewide. Those types of things are leading the way. With that being said, we're not where we need to be. We need to continue to work with students and parents and teachers and superintendents and police and fire to make sure that we do everything we possibly can every day. We also need to create training programs for the students that are age appropriate. If you have kindergartens, we can't do active shooter training with kindergarten, but we can create a culture of operation where the safest place in the classroom has been determined, and that's where they do their reading every time. So when they say, please come to your reading location if something should happen in school, it's not foreign to them.
All right. Assistant Commissioner Plummer, we thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
And we wish you luck in this important work.